Hey there, this is MathCamp321, and this is another example of slope fields. So this would be part 2 of a series I've done on slope fields, and in question number 3, we are actually given the slope field, and it says, select the differential equation whose general solution is shown in the slope field provided. So this is a multiple choice. We've got to pick from choices A through D which of these differential equations represents this slope field. And I see these questions all the time on an AP, and they're not that bad, but what you need to do is you need to identify just some random points on the graph, and you've got to plug those in for both x and y and see if you get a slope that you see on the page. So for example, let's take this point 1, 1, and I'm going to make it red here. If you looked at this slope is obviously something positive, and it seems to be like it's on the steep side. I might guess that the slope is 2. And you can use the grid to actually approximate that slope. This is shooting up like this. Maybe it would hit this point, which means it's going to rise 2 and run 1. So this slope looks like it might be about 2. So I'll just put a 2 here. Maybe I'll put a question mark. It's sort of our guess. So let's see which of these choices will reveal something about 2 when I plug both 1 in for x and 1 in for y. So 1 squared is 1 plus 1 is 2. So this equals 2. So at 1, 1, we get 2. So this is looking promising. This is a contender. Now over here at 1, 1, when we plug that into this particular differential equation, we get 0. So that's not looking good. Now if I plug 1, 1 in here, we get the product of those values, which is 1. Now this slope could be 1, so it's possible, but I'm still liking A more. And then D, if I plug 1 and 1 in, I get 1 squared plus 1, which is also 2. So I like this one, and this one's okay, and this one I'm thinking is no. So let's try another point with a very different characteristic. So maybe let's pick one that's negative, and maybe let's pick something that has a different slope than 2. And I'll use a different color. So let's see, where can we go? You want to pick something that's very close to being on a dot if you can, because that's going to make your life easier. So I'm just scouring this to see if I can find one. Let's see if this works right here. What would this point be? Well, our x value is 0, and then our y value is like negative 1 1/4. Negative 1 1/4. So this is x, this is y, and when I look at this slope, the way that it's projecting, it looks like it's just going to be up 1 1/4 and then over 1. So maybe just negative 5/4. Our slope appears to be, if we're just guessing now, about negative 5/4. I'll put a question mark because we're just really making a guess. So I think let's start with our 2 top choices, and maybe we can hone in right then and there. So let's go here. If I'm plugging in 0 and negative 1.25, or maybe it's better to think of it as 0 and negative 5/4, I'm going to get negative 5/4 squared, which is 25/16, which is something positive, and what we're guessing this slope to be is negative 5/4. So now I'm thinking that's not a contender. Now let's go to choice D, and let's do the same thing. Let's do 0 and negative 5/4. So now we're going to square x, or we're going to square 0, and then we're going to add y, and we're going to get negative 5/4. So this is looking really, really promising, because this is no good. It's got to be a negative slope. So this is looking good too. So if we wanted to, we could just pick one more point just to really confirm that it seems to work every single time. So I'll pick a different color, and maybe I will go here. This point here looks like it's negative 1 and, I don't know, maybe negative 1 1/5, or maybe that's negative 1.2. And of course our y value is 0. So we've got our x value, we've got our y value, and if I were just projecting this over, it looks like it's in line with this. It looks like I'm rising and running the same amount. This to me, if I had to guess, looks like about a slope of 1. That's just a guess, so I'll put a question mark. And I want to see if this is going to bring me close, because I'm really thinking that choice D is the contender. So let's see. Negative 1.2, comma 0. Now if I like fractions better, I could do negative 1 1/5 or negative 6/5. Maybe that's just a better choice than the decimal. And I need to square x, which would be 36/25. And then I add y to that, which is 0. So 36/25, that seems like it might be a little bit more than 1, maybe about 1.2. I'm really starting to think that D is the answer. So in a problem like this, you really have to consider not just one point, but a few points. And I considered 3 different points. I plugged them into the various choices that they've given us, and it really seems like D is the one that works every single time. So I've illustrated a strategy for tackling problems like this on an AP.